Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Raven's Hollow, streaming on SHUDDER. Yes. Bless you. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm a good.
Cool.
Yeah, we just talked about an Italian. We just talked about an Italian horror film on '80s. So
that's like nothing to do with what we're getting ready to talk about. But that's awesome. That makes it all the better. Also joining this week is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl.
So I'm killing myself because I have this little raven in a cage, and it like talks, and I forgot it upstairs, and so that's why I was like. So now, Christopher, once again, it's to you to be all cute and funny and witty and precious.
And precious. Oh, he's so precious. All right. Award-winning filmmaker,
kind of
Christopher G.
Look at that.
Mohr.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a movie about Edgar Allan Poe at its core. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my streaming door.
No.
'Tis some new film for Gruesome, I muttered, tapping at my streaming door. Only this mess of a movie and nothing more. I'm doing well.
Okay. He literally wrote that for this. You know what? There you go. Yeah.
I'm dedicated to the gruesome.
All right. Nevermore. Nevermore. All right. Rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreher. Dave, how you doing?
I'm mesmerized by Seinfeld being on the TV behind me.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I can do the podcast and watch my episode of Seinfeld at the same time.
This is not the TV show you were looking
What
for.
is up
Please
with
that?
I am clearly not the master of my own domain. For I
There you
left
go.
the TV on.
TMI. Don't need to know.
Oh my. All right, what we're going to do tonight, we are going to review Raven's Hollow and try to avoid getting copyright stricken. And
They won't see that.
We're going to start off giving our first impressions, which will be spoiler free. Then we're going to discuss the episode or the movie in the episode. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And we hope that you enjoy.
Okay, yeah.
We hope that you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 5,000 subscribers. Every little click helps. Thank you.
Look, like I said, all you have to do is hit a button. It doesn't cost you any money, and you don't even have to watch us anymore if you don't want to. Just hit the button, people.
You gotta watch it. We want you to watch it. All right, let's go look at the card. Oh, that's the wrong one. Don't look at that card. Look at this card. All right, Raven's Hollow.
It's a magician.
Available streaming on. It usually works, but not tonight. Available streaming on SHUDDER beginning September 22nd, 2022. There's a lot of twos there. Synopsis: West Point cadet Edgar Allan Poe and 4 other cadets whose name we don't care about on a training exercise in upstate New York are drawn by a gruesome discovery into a forgotten community. It's directed by Christopher Hatton, written by Christopher Hatton and Chuck Reeves. The cast includes Melanie Zanetti, William Moseley, David Hayman, Kate Dickie, Callum Woodhouse, Callum McGowan. There's 2 Callums. That's awesome. Mathis, Landwehr, and Oberon K.A. Adjepong.
That's pretty good.
That wasn't bad. You know. I have to admit, I'm kind of impressed.
Okay. Well, thank you. Dave, we want your first impression first because you are experiencing storms and we want to get it while
I am. I could vanish at any given moment.
So let us know what you think of this adventure with Edgar Allan Poe.
There are a billion reasons to hate this movie. It's not a great film. It just isn't. But with that being said, I actually kind of enjoyed this. I liked the story.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy the story, but I'm sure Christopher is going to spend a lot of time tearing this one apart, and it is worthy of It is worthy of that criticism. It really is. But I did enjoy the story. I would have much rather have read the story than watched it. I like those kind of stories where they take these like historical. I mean, that's Seth. What's that guy's name? Seth Graham, whatever his name is. He's made a fortune off of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and all that stuff. And this is kind of right up in there. The same idea. You take this famous author and you put him in a different circumstance from where he ever would have possibly been, and you watch what happens. And I thought it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it, but it's not a good movie.
Enjoyed it, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. For some reason, I kind of like that. All right. Crystal, you're up next. What was your first impression of Ravens Hollow?
Okay, so this movie does have its flaws, but I liked it. I love Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, I mean, I was an English major before I switched to journalism, and one of the reasons was because I loved horror writers. I think that this has some beautiful wardrobe, and I think the acting was great. The lead actor, I think he has an accent though, because there were a couple points where I actually heard him, like whatever, I don't know where he's from or whatever. Bill Moseley.
William.
Yeah, I know it's William. I'm making it because Williams go by Bill, and then you got another Bill Moseley. Can't be that. But anyway, so he dropped his accent a few times, which really I wish the director had caught that, especially one yelling moment. But there was some gore. I think that the story was cool and a little bit wild and weird and kind of made sense and kind of didn't make sense, but it didn't really matter to me because sometimes that's just the way horror stories go. I felt it felt very period to me. So that I enjoyed. But I agree. Yeah, there's some issues. I could point out some fault with the shots and some fault with some few things, but the bottom line is I was entertained. So I enjoyed it. And so I liked it.
Yeah. I maybe speaking out of turn, but it is filmed in UK, and I believe these are UK actors.
Oh, okay. Because I heard he at points, like when I was listening to him or watching him, it felt like he was trying to not use his accent. He
was from Gloucester, England.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Christopher G. Mohr, what was your first impression of Ravens Hollow?
It's like Sleepy Hollow and Jeepers Creepers mated.
And then they slathered some Edgar Allan Poe to make you think they're witty and smart.
I mean, I like some of the gore and elements in it, but I thought the lead was as wooden as some of the doors on the buildings in this movie. And I think it has less to do with his wavering Kevin Costner-esque accent and more to do with just him being very monotone throughout the whole thing. And his acting basically sucked me out of the whole movie every time he was on screen. I mean, it had some interesting elements. It had like those sleepy, I mean, it felt like it felt very Sleepy Hollow, but then it just reminded me how much better Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow was. Yeah. In fact, the preacher, they nailed to the preacher, the preacher person that happens in this movie looks like Tim Burton. I was like, did they get Tim Burton?
Oh, he does.
like a young Tim Burton. So then it just reminded me of like, I just need to go watch Sleepy Hollow instead of watching this. I found this movie to be boring. And I mean, they had, like I said, the practical effects were kind of cool, I guess. I mean, they had these elements of gore, but I was kind of, the whole movie, I was kind of confused about it because they're really trying to shove the Edgar Allan stuff down your throat so much to where the ending, they're almost speaking in poetic stuff. And it just go read an Edgar Allan Poe, you'll get more from it. Because then it ended up just ruining it, because I really felt like the guy who directed it and wrote it was like, ooh, look at me, I'm witty, I'm gonna have a heart in this, and I'm gonna have rapping noises, and I'm gonna make all these references to ravens and blah blah blah, I'm so cool. No, you're not. And I think this movie is a good example of that. Yeah, I don't want to take any more trips to Ravens Hollow. In fact, I think Ravens Hollow is a perfect name because this movie is very hollow in its ability to tell a good story.
Damn. All right, yeah. Dave, I'll give you your dollar here shortly. Jeff, what was your first impression of Ravens Hollow?
I liked it.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, this is one of those ones where the problems that Chris had with it, most of those things are things I liked. I liked the actor. I liked what Crystal said. I liked the costumes. I thought they were awesome.
Yeah.
I liked all those little, whatever you want to call them, references to Edgar Allan Poe stories and things. I liked that. And I liked the story. I liked the darkness of it, the atmosphere. There is a part where I got no idea. There seemed to me to be a big switch in tone at one point that I didn't quite get, but I was okay with it, as it went forward. So anyway, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the gore. I liked the CGI. I liked all the stuff. All of it.
All of it. You liked it all. The whole thing. All right. So I think I'm more in Dave's camp here because I found the Edgar Allan Poe references, like Lenore and the Heart and obviously the Raven, right? Were alternatively, oh, that's awesome, or eye rolling, right? Oh, really? And I didn't have a problem. I did have a problem with the guy with William Moseley's acting at first, but eventually, I felt it didn't matter after a while. I can think once they got into the town, it didn't matter, and it was I kind of was with it by then. But embarrassingly, I think I enjoyed it at the end. I liked the effects. There are some CGI effects I didn't like the leaves were really bad, but the thing that we're going to talk about, I really enjoyed it. I really thought that was pretty well done. There was some really interesting things happening, and there is some really nice gore, some gruesome stuff, and there's a body count, and there's a mystery, and Edgar Allan Poe is known for his mysteries as much as he is his horror, right? And he, Murders in the Rue Morgue, kind of invented it, right? So, am I right, Dave?
You are correct.
All right, thank you for backing me up on that. I was doubting myself as soon as I said that. So in the end, I was like, okay, well, this kind of, it's like one gorilla away from the whole thing. So I was happy with it for some reason. That's a
well, and I should fess up to being a big Edgar Allan Poe fan and memorizing The Raven in my younger days.
Yeah, me too. That's why I was like, when he was doing it, I was like rapping on my chamber door.
Well, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of Edgar Allan Poe as well. He's like one of my favorite writers, and so I don't mind if you incorporate elements, but.
I didn't mean you had to like it if you were a fan. I'm just
yeah. I think you definitely don't have to, and it might be better because then you might get annoyed by all the references they make in it. But I don't know. I just found it to be like I think the problem, he was leaning too much on it, trying to fulfill this sort of like Edgar Allan prequel story, where this is where Edgar Allan got all his stories from, whatever. But
some of them are very subtle.
Yeah, some are very subtle.
And then other ones are like heavy-handed. And the heavy-handed ones were where I was rolling my eyes. And then like the subtle ones, like Lenore. I actually like that she had the twin sister, supposedly, right? Yeah. That was named Lenore. So that I like that. I like the fact that he, started taking opium, to because it was going to affect how he perceived things. And so that all fed into some things I liked, but some of the other mentions were like, wow, really? And
I will say this much. I don't hate this film. I think it's got great production design. It's got definitely great costuming. I think it fits really well, and which is really hard to pull off, especially on the indie level. So I think that works well, and I think the gore they definitely don't skimp on. You know, like there's a whole church scene that's got blood all over the place.
Yeah,
it feels like something out of Seven.
Yes.
So
I was thinking Hannibal.
Remember, actually very Hannibal.
Yeah.
Like,
TV show,
exactly,
yeah.
with the way the bodies are found and stuff. So I like that aspect of it. I think I just had problems again with the acting. I mean, you have like these cadets that are basically just close to being carbon copies of each other.
Yeah, they're fodder.
Well, they are fodder, but at least, I mean, that's like saying that all the characters in the thing should be fodder. I mean, they are all each individually different people. And that the town's much better because they're all individual, interesting people, like the crazy doc or the crazy.
I love that lead actress, the mom.
They tried to give him
Kate Dickie. Kate Dickie.
Yes, I love.
So I like the townspeople. I mean that atmosphere. And again, I keep comparing to Sleepy Hollow, which is one of my favorite stories, just in general. When it comes
Sleepy
to, like,
Hollow is also Tim Burton, and this is
no, just Sleepy Hollow before Tim Burton. Like, I mean, I'm talking about the Sleepy Hollow story. It has that element to it, but it definitely has because you have like the bodies and Examiner coming in Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton version. But I don't know. I just had problems with the wooden acting, and then it gets kind of. I think it's so focused on incorporating these Edgar Allan things, it makes it very confusing by the end, where I'm like, I'm not sure what to believe, what's happening. You know, especially the whole scene that happens in like the graveyard and stuff at the very end. And then what happens at the very end, I was like, I don't really understand. And when you have like such a very bland lead, by the end, I don't really care.
Yeah, the strengths are definitely in the cast that play the townspeople. Kate Dickie as Elizabeth, the mother, as you mentioned, Crystal, is wonderful. Oberon, who plays Usher, there's another one, right? I thought he was great. And the doctor, David Hayman, who plays Dr. Garrett, had the most character and was a little over the top, but it needed it. It needed it to counterbalance what William Moseley was bringing to Edgar Allan Poe. But I liked
the dude too, the guy that helps him out. He was good.
Yeah. But he's and that was much for me. And I didn't like the Charlotte character as much either.
Yeah, I thought not that
she was bad. I just didn't.
Oh no! I thought. Well, oddly enough, she was a pretty girl, but I didn't think much of her. She was just kind of there. And usually it's not that way. You think it seems like she was meant to, she's not very she doesn't command the screen, unfortunately.
Well, she's not written in a way to command the screen. She's kind of
No, you command the screen when you're on the screen because you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be written that way.
There's that too.
Yeah, because there's that presence, you know.
I feel like of her and the main lead, if they give out in different actors, I think the movie would be much more impactful in selling what's happening, at least for me.
I hate to say it, but Christopher's absolutely right. Because I really liked it in spite of that. Like I said, I kept thinking, is he covering his accent? But now I'm wondering if it was just like he was
just the whole point of the movie. He's like, whoa.
Yeah, I swear, I know for certain I heard his accent come through.
You could hear hints of it.
Yes. And I was like, so he's been trying to cover it this whole time. And I think that took away from his acting. I think that actually impeded his performance for sure. I think he was really trying too hard to sound American, which is unfortunate.
I thought I heard a tinge of British accent too, but I never once had a problem with his performance. I was sucked in.
Good.
So,
well, let's end on this because with Dave, you've been awfully quiet, but you're also an Edgar Allan Poe fan, I would imagine, sir.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
So what was your take on all the I mean, for lack of a better word, Easter eggs, you know, the Usher name, Lenore being used, the heart underneath the floorboards as well. It's everywhere.
The exact same. The reason I didn't chime in is because you said it perfectly, Doc. The ones that were more Easter eggy and just kind of there for the fans would notice, you know, were kind of fun, and the ones that seemed forced were groanable. you know, and that's exactly how it was, you know, for me. I had the exact same reaction to them, but none of them bothered me per se.
Okay.
You know, and I didn't notice the accent thing or anything else. I was kind of enthralled by the story. I got more of a they reminded me in a way kind of the old dating myself here, like the old Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes movies, like
yeah, it had an old,
you know, it had more of a whodunit mystery flair to it for me. I wasn't looking at it as them attempting to explain Edgar Allan Poe as I was. They were kind of reinventing a caricature of Poe and putting him in a different situation, and that's what I enjoyed.
Right. I mean, we didn't speak about the Raven. That isn't actually a Raven. Do you want to talk about that?
Is it?
Kind of a Raven.
It still seemed like a Raven. But what did you think? I mean, obviously it was more often than not, CGI.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a costume at some point. But what did that work for you?
The only scene that it didn't work when, and I don't know, I don't want to be, or can we be spoilers?
We're in spoilers, yeah. We're in spoilers.
Okay, yeah. The one big scene, the close-up scene where they're like in the center of the town or whatever, and she transforms like right there in front of them and then gets up and flies off. I thought it looked really bad at the close-up, but as she flew off and flew away, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I was thinking
the close-up was like, it almost looked like it was malformed or not fully realized. Like they didn't quite finish it. I don't know. But from a distance, it looked great.
I was honestly hoping that they were going to go with like a Mothman type thing.
They kind of did.
They kind of did. Yeah, a little bit. They kind of did a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was more black blobby.
Yeah. I would have liked for them to actually like bring in like the Harbinger, maybe instead of making it like this full villain.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have even fit better with Edgar Allan Poe's stories, you know, like the Raven isn't necessarily
but
the
it was
villain.
kind of shocking what had happened.
It's more,
you really
it's more like the harbinger of what's coming, you know?
Well, it did start the cycle over again with the ending. So
yeah.
So with the other girl showing up. All right. Well, let's get into our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Dave, let us have it, bud.
You know, I'm going to give this one actually a pretty decent score. I'm going to give it a 3.25. I really enjoyed the story.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the story a lot. And like I said, everything else that everyone else said is 100% true. You could tear this one apart all day long if you chose to. But I just choose to see what I liked.
Nice.
which was the story and the gore, the scene in the church with the pastor or whoever that was, like ripped into a billion flipping pieces, was pretty immaculate gore wise. I mean, that was some serious ass gore. So I like that, and that would also be my favorite scene when he walks into they're in the church, right? Yeah, they're in the church.
Yeah.
And the head's on the candelabra and the guts all over everything, and
the rib cage is on the wall.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. There was some serious set dressing going on there for sure. But that was what was expected, because we see it. All we really see is Poe's facial reaction, and then it kind of slowly pans over to it. And you're just like, oh God. That's pretty nasty. But yeah, I like this movie.
Good.
I'd say check it out.
Yeah, I think your comment about I choose to like this and ignore the rest is what Christopher G. Mohr would call rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah.
All right, Crystal, your score and favorite scene.
Okay, so I'm going to give it a 3, and my favorite scene is in the forest. One of the guys tries to escape, and there's these trees and these like, I don't know. It was a really creepy kind of moment for me when you see like these tree creatures. You remember that? Like the
they almost look like monuments, or I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and then they start moving inside of it, and I was like, that's really creepy. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. Yep. And I say, you know.
It's on Shudder. Watch it.
It's on Shudder. Yeah.
Christopher G. Mohr, your score 1 to 5 and your favorite scene.
I'll give it a 2.75. I mean, it's above.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's got, even though I have issues with the story and some of the acting, The production design looks great. The costumes look great, and definitely doesn't skip on the gore. It's got some interesting gore stuff. So regardless of my issues, you know me, it's like if it visually looks cool or has cool elements, I'll still give it a passing grade. But yeah, the acting just hurts me. As for favorite scene, I don't know. I kind of like the scene where he takes the drugs when he's riding that horse, and there's like sort of like these weird visions of the horse like snorting and smoke and stuff. I like that. I like the nightmarish element of that scene when he's riding into town. For some reason, even though a lot of the other CGI doesn't work, that's one of the few times where the CGI worked for that specific scene.
Yeah. So Professor Christopher gives it a C+ with a lot of teacher notes. All right, Jeff Mohr, your score and your favorite scene.
I'm going 3.5, and I'm favorite scene. I'm gonna go with when he, and we kind of all figure this out at the same time, but when we figure out that the Raven can become other people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, which one? There's a couple times we see that.
Well, the first time that I got it was when it was one of his cadets, I think.
Okay, there you go.
That we're seeing him being chased out in the woods, and then he's there talking to him, and you're going, wait a minute, and then he figures it out. And as soon as I figure that out, I admit I'm a little slow sometimes, but then it's like, oh snap, what about all the rest of these people? So anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I love the tinge, the color, the whatever you call that, cinematography, I guess.
Yeah, anyway. We call it that. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to give this a 3.75.
Oh, nice.
I think I am going to do that. Oh, Dave didn't like that. He bailed on us. You can't be better than me. My favorite scene.
Did you notice that dark thing reaching and pulling him out?
That's what happened. Yes, sir.
Stole his heart, I heard.
Yeah, I wasn't going to tell everybody. Let them see it for themselves. I don't want to spoil it. My favorite scene, I actually liked the ending of the story before it gets to the two codas. I like where he's got her on the horse, got Charlotte on the horse, and he goes out to that tree and basically to get out, so it won't chase him for
brilliant. It was brilliant.
He offers her up, and I just liked how it was done. I liked how her when she realized what was happening and him stepping back and then the Raven coming in, swooping in. I appreciated that. I like that quite a bit. And if I didn't do that, it would be when Elizabeth walked out and she was the other thing. When he goes, no, it's not her, it's her. Yes. And once we started playing that bouncing game of who it actually is, I enjoyed that. But I think that's what sucked me in was some of the mystery of it. And I'll have to. I actually thought it was somebody who they thought it was as well and was wrong. So I was like, well, damn.
Well, and I didn't realize it could be anybody. I was thinking it was one of these people that sort of changed, Anyway.
Oh. Well, because I think it was one of the people that changed into anybody they wanted. Right?
It's weird how birds can make you look like someone else.
Oh, it is weird. Totally weird.
Yes. I'll tell you, it did have that one. For me, it's not a very scary film, but it did have one jump scare that I really liked. And that's when the two cadets were out in the woods and the other one started repeating the other guy's words.
Oh, he did.
Right.
He did a really good job of, really? You weren't expecting it? Okay. I was.
Oh, well, I was, but I liked it. I thought it was
good. That dude was really good being creepy. And his side smile, he's like, he had that phase. I was like, yeah, that's nice. Repeating it. It's weird how someone repeating you can be creepy.
Especially when it's done in a different tone and way, not where it's not it's not making fun. It's not making fun of you. It's actually sinister in its.
I'm not copying you. I'm not copying you.
No,
I'm not copying you. Oh yeah.
All right, well, there you go. That's our review for Raven's Hollow. It's streaming on Shudder. We know you have Shudder, so watch this film and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Christopher, Crystal, Jeff, and Dave, wherever you are, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah, fun.
All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.